Hi friends!
This is my gal Abby.
And this is my gal Bethany.
We're travel specialists with Second Star Wishes.
And we are experts on magical travel to destinations all over the world.
Today we're talking about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Cutie Batootie.
We love Star Wars. I've become a Star Wars fan. A lot of that reason was because of Abby and Galaxy's Edge, so we're so excited to talk about this today.
I'm really excited. I'm passionate about this subject, so here we go.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Galaxy's Edge is on both coasts. It is at Disney World in Florida and at Disneyland in California. At Walt Disney World in Florida, it's at Hollywood Studios, and at Disneyland in California, it's at Disneyland Park. They're basically exactly the same. They have, I think it's down to each
identical
detail. It's exactly the same. So as we talk about Galaxy's Edge today, what we're talking about applies to both Disney World in Florida and Disneyland in California.
But where we experienced it first was at Walt Disney World in Florida.
And together.
Yes, and together.
But where I experienced Rise of the Resistance was at Disneyland, so we'll get to that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so my first impression of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, so I went before Abby did. And when I went for my first time, I had not seen the Star Wars movies really. Like, I had seen bits and pieces, kind of in passing, but I had never sat down and watched all the Star Wars movies. I wasn't a Star Wars fan, and I didn't know all the ins and outs of the Star Wars stories. And so I think that Galaxy's Edge had a lot of hype built up around it. To the land opening, there were going to be lands in both Disneyland and Disney World. We knew it was going to be huge. Star Wars fans were so excited about it. Like, there's just so much building up to Galaxy's Edge opening.
It was a lot of hype.
A lot of hype. And for me, like, I had experienced Pandora, which is Disney's last, I think, land to this scale that they had opened, which is in Animal Kingdom. And Pandora, for me, just blew me away. It blew a lot of people away. People would go to Pandora and they would cry because they were just moved by how beautiful it was.
Incredible. Yeah.
The Flight of Passage is one of the best theme park rides ever anywhere. And so I think that also kind of hyped up what we were expecting for Galaxy's Edge.
No one had ever seen anything like Pandora before. And so because that was the scale at which Disney set the bar for themselves on new lands, that's kind of the expectation I think that people had for Galaxy's Edge as well.
Yeah. And I think one thing about Pandora was that there aren't like Avatar fans. Like, it is a great movie. A lot of people loved Avatar. But there aren't like,
it's not like a
fandom.
Yeah.
And so even though people aren't just giant fans of just Avatar in general, people loved Pandora because of how amazing the land was, how good the rides were, the food, the immersiveness, just everything. And so I think that's what I was expecting with Galaxy's Edge, was that me as a non-Star Wars fan at the time would be able to go and just be amazed and like breathtaking and just overcome with like how
awesome,
amazing the land was going to be. And that's what I was expecting. And so when I went for the first time, bear in mind that Rise of the Resistance was not yet open the first time that I went. So it's like the biggest ride at like any theme park ever. So it wasn't open yet. But when I went for the first time, I think I was kind of let down because I didn't have that feeling like I had at Pandora or like at Harry Potter World, where that's something that I'm a huge fan of, is Harry Potter. And so that land to me over at Universal, like, really just kind of like I connected with, and I didn't feel that at Galaxy's Edge. And I feel like I kind of just didn't get what Galaxy's Edge was going for. And so to me, like, a lot of it, I probably wasn't picking up on the details. And I liked what you said earlier about how like Pandora, like, is just beautiful.
Yeah, it was supposed to be this out of this world. Even in the movie, the islands are just breathtaking. And so the colors are beautiful, the smells, everything about it is, it's very sensory. And that is not what Galaxy's Edge is. Yeah. It's incredible in its own feat, but you cannot compare it to Pandora because it's just not even the same.
Yeah.
It's not even the same world.
Yeah. But I think now that, for one, I have seen the movies and I love them and I feel like I've become a Star Wars fan, of course, I appreciate it much more now, and I like am in love with Galaxy's Edge, especially after riding Rise of the Resistance. That just really like
pushed you over the edge.
I mean, there's nobody can't love it after that. But I think also, if I were still not a Star Wars fan, I think the biggest thing would just be to not compare it to like Pandora or Harry Potter World or anything like that, and just appreciate it for what it is.
Absolutely.
And be able to go and like actually see it all with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna let you see what Galaxy's Edge is, rather than the parts of Pandora that it doesn't have.
Yeah, I agree with that. The first time that I went to Galaxy's Edge was in November with Bethany, and I have been a Star Wars fan for a few years. I'm not like a diehard first movie, I wasn't even born, but especially when the new movie started coming out, I would rewatch all of the films again in order, and it just kind of reignited my love for the whole storyline. And so when I went to Galaxy's Edge, I think I kind of had the same kind of reaction of, okay, this Batuu is not beautiful like Pandora is, but that's not what they were going for anyways. The cool thing about Galaxy's Edge is that it truly is immersive. Something that Bethany said earlier is that you're not gonna go into a gift shop in Galaxy's Edge and see Mickey dressed up as a stormtrooper or as, you know, a Jedi. You're not gonna see anything like that. It's gonna be on theme the whole time. And that's one thing that I appreciate the most about Galaxy's Edge, is how they paid so much attention to detail to make sure that it feels like you're in a place that you would see in one of the Star Wars movies or TV shows or anything about the franchise. Yeah. So I think that that's really neat.
Yeah.
Another thing I love about the land is the layout of the land. So if you come in through Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios, which is what I would recommend if it's your first time, you're gonna walk into the part of the outpost that is run by the First Order. So you're gonna have First Order flags and a First Order ship on the docking bay, and the character encounters in this part of the land are one of my favorite encounters, you know, at any of the parks in Walt Disney World. I think Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge have the best character encounters because they're really organic. Instead of standing in line to go and take a picture with Mickey or Minnie, there are stormtroopers and captains walking around looking for spies for the Resistance. And so they're gonna come up to guests and talk to you as if you're just part of the outpost, one of the citizens of Batuu. And I think that that's really special and unique to Galaxy's Edge.
I love it so much. When we were at Disneyland, there was this little girl dressed up like Rey, and
awesome.
the stormtroopers were coming up to her and questioning her, and she used the Force on them, and then they had the feeling that they needed to leave.
Yes.
And it was so cute.
It's so cute. And so I think, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, that is over the top cool. But if you're not a Star Wars fan, you can still appreciate the attention to theming in this land. So as I said, you walk in through Toy Story. If you go in through Toy Story Land, you'll walk into the part of the outpost that is run by the First Order. And then as you walk around to the other part of the land, which, by the way, it's huge. There is so much to this land. I think it's one of the biggest probably in Walt Disney World. As you walk around to the other side, that's where the Smuggler's Outpost actually is, and it's Docking Bay 7, where the Millennium Falcon is docked. So over there, you're gonna have more character encounters with smugglers or maybe some Jedi who are hiding from the First Order. And I know that Chewie walks around there a lot. And so he is one of the more organic character encounters that you can experience at Galaxy's Edge as well. And that's really cool. So the encounter with Chewie is a really cool experience, especially for Star Wars fans. I know that my aunt and uncle are huge Chewie fans all the way back from the 70s, and so I know that they will absolutely love that as they're walking around Galaxy's Edge. Another cool part of the outpost is a kind of show that happens probably every 30 minutes in the land, where on the First Order side of the outpost, there is a big First Order ship. And the music will start and the landing strip will lower on the ship.
Smoke comes out.
And Kylo Ren comes stomping out, and he's so angry.
He's all
and they
mad.
have a little bit of, you know, all of the stormtroopers fall in line and go and line up in front of him, and they have a really cool little show.
Yeah. Oh, we love Kylo Ren, so
We really do.
we love that.
Love. So that is a really fun, kind of free experience to have while
and
you're
it's
there.
not like the other shows at Hollywood Studios, like where you're having to go sit in like an auditorium, and it's
No.
not to that extent either. Like it's quick, it's shorter, but it's cool to like be able to see, even if you're just like in passing.
Yes, it's kind of like the
yeah.
Jedi training was at the docking bay on the outside.
Yeah.
So it's really just kind of a walk-up thing where you get to experience it as you're going through, and I think that it adds to the organicness. I think that is just the key word for Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Everything is on theme and everything is organic, so it kind of feels more immersive in that way.
And I think it needs to be somewhere that you plan to have time to just walk around and explore and take it in and be able to like be surprised by those kinds of things, rather than like, okay, at this time we're gonna do this ride, and at this time we're gonna do this experience, and at this time we're gonna eat. Like, give yourself some time to like take in the land and enjoy it and walk around and be surprised by things like that.
It's almost like you're traveling to a city you've never been to before, where you just want to have some time to experience what that place has to offer. That's what Batuu feels like to me. And one important part of that experience is the food. And there are several options for dining at Galaxy's Edge. Why don't you tell us about your experience at Oga's Cantina?
Yeah, so Oga's Cantina is a lounge, so it's not a restaurant. And it is reservation only. You have to have a reservation to get in. And when you go in, you will have 45 minutes to stay in the lounge. And then after that, it's your time to go. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You can't just hang out all day, but you'll go in. It's not guaranteed seating. So you may be at a bar stool, like a bar top, where you're just standing. You may be sharing a table with other people who aren't in your party. You may be just along the sides of the room, kind of like with a table near you. So do not plan on this being like a sit down or quick service type meal. There are snacks there, but this is not a meal. Like, I can't stress that enough. When you make your reservation on My Disney Experience, it will show up as like Oga's Cantina lunch or Oga's Cantina dinner. It is not. It is like a lounge. So keep that in mind, and also keep that in mind for your kids. That, if you've got younger kids who are used to like sitting down in a place like that, there's a good chance you won't be able to. Yeah. There is some seating, but you don't get to choose if you're sitting or standing.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
The atmosphere sounds like a bar that you would see
now that
the
I've
characters
seen,
in Star Wars go to.
Now that I've seen The Mandalorian, it reminds me of that kind of. Like some of like the places that they go there. So it's cool.
It's a cool experience, but it is not dining.
If you do not enjoy alcohol, skip it. Honestly. Okay. And at this point where it's so crowded and so new, you can't go and just walk around and look because it's so crowded and it's reservation only and stuff like that. So maybe that will change the longer that it's been. Maybe you can go and just kind of take a look around, like we did that one time at like Enchanted Rose. Like, we didn't have anything, we just wanted to see what it looked like. That may be an option at Oga's in the future, but as of right now it isn't. But if you're not drinking alcohol, I don't think it's worth it. I did not enjoy what I drank, and it did not have alcohol in it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Wasn't the best drink you've ever had.
Yeah. If it says cold brew, don't drink it from Oga's.
Okay. But there are 2 dining plan options in Galaxy's Edge. Docking Bay 7 is one of the quick service options, and then Ronto Roasters is the other. And Ronto Roaster is one of my favorite parts of Galaxy's Edge. I think that it's a really cool immersive experience because the whole restaurant is circular and it is all focused in on this spit in the middle of the restaurant that is spinning, and a droid is spinning it, and the thing that is cooking the meat on the spit is 2 pod racer engines facing each other. And it's something that you could miss because everything kind of looks metally and rocky, but once you really try to focus on the attention to detail, you see things like that, and it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Abby, what are your thoughts on blue milk?
Oh, that's a good thought. Blue milk and green milk, when we were there, we split. She got green, I got blue, and we tasted both. I prefer the blue milk.
I prefer the green milk.
But both of us thought the other tasted like a Tide Pod.
Yeah.
So
and I don't really love either one.
No. It tasted like a smoothie that they put in a cup they just washed. Like,
That's so true.
But it looks really cool,
It's
and it's a
cute.
good experience to have. But
It's unique. You can only get
Absolutely.
it there. But what I prefer instead is the cute little droid-shaped soda bottles, like
Yes.
the Coke bottles.
and it's all the Coke products that they sell inside of Galaxy's Edge. All of them are in the shape of a droid.
Yeah.
With the cap spins on, and it's so cute.
It's so
I still
cute.
have mine upstairs from when I was there.
Give me that over the blue milk any day.
Absolutely, and it's cheaper. It's a cheaper option.
And it's a little souvenir. Like,
Yes,
you can bring it home. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about food. We've talked about the experience in general. But there are some experiences that you can also add on. So tell us about droid building.
Yes, so you can go to the Droid Depot in Galaxy's Edge and build your own droid. And there are 2 different types that you can build, and they're basically just different shaped droids. But it costs...
There's like the BB series,
Yeah, the BB series, and then,
the ones that look like R2D2.
yes, I think it's called S7.
Okay,
We can fact check.
I believe you on that.
Thank you. I am the expert. Just kidding. So you go in and you basically go to this depot to build your own droid. It's just 2 different types. One is based on BB-8 and one is based on R2D2.
They're so
it's
cute.
They really are. The BB-8 ones
I
are.
want a BB-8 one.
They're pretty big, but they're really sweet.
And they're interactive. They'll interact with other things in the land too, which is
Yes,
cool.
that is really neat. It's kind of like an ode to the Harry Potter world wands, but obviously Star Wars themed. But it costs $99.99 plus tax for one droid. And then they actually have really cool little accessories that you can add on to your droid to make it, I guess, smarter, is what they would say in the Star Wars
That's cool.
movies. But those do cost extra, so keep that in mind.
Cool.
And then there's another experience that you can have that's additional in the land, which is...
You can build your own lightsaber at Savi's workshop. And so this is cool. It's really more, I think, more so than Droid Depot. I think it's more of like a complete experience. So if you kind of think about like the wand selecting you at Harry Potter World, it's kind of like that, but the Star Wars version. But I think, from what I can tell at Galaxy's Edge, it seems like it's even more unique to each individual person, rather than like at Harry Potter World, just one person is chosen out of your whole room. So I think that's kind of cool, and obviously it's going to be Star Wars themed. But yeah, so you'll get to build your own lightsaber. There are a few different kinds you can choose from. It's a little bit more expensive than Droid Depot, so it's going to be $199.99 plus tax per person. So if you've got 4 kids who are all wanting to build a lightsaber, rack up those Disney gift cards before you go. Ask for them for Christmas. And you can also bring a plus one. So like if just your kid is building one, you can still go with them, even if you're not participating.
Still,
yeah,
which is
So, yeah.
cool. And it is important to note that both of those require reservations. So your travel specialist can help you plan that, build it into your itinerary, or build your itinerary around it if it's something that you're really excited about.
Yeah.
So that's important to remember as well.
So we've talked a lot about Galaxy's Edge, and we have not even talked about the rides yet. And so our next video is going to be all about the rides at Galaxy's Edge, which are Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance, which is, you're just gonna have to watch.
Yeah.
So to
Can't
make
wait to
sure,
share.
so to make sure you don't miss those videos, follow us on socials. You can find Abby on Instagram and Facebook at Golden Days Getaways.
And you can find Bethany on Instagram and Facebook at Best Days by Bethany. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.